Today's scores first off when it comes to the Euros. Round of 16. England 2, Slovakia 1, Spain 4, Georgia 1. Over in the Copa, Group B was in their third games. Mexico 0, Ecuador 0, Jamaica 0, and Venezuela 3. All right, best moments of the day. Victory Unlock. Brought to you by Zillow. Agents, tours, loans, homes. Get home with Zillow. Should we start with the England? I don't want to bury the lead here. The England
Let's
game?
do it. Yep.
Okay. England and Slovakia. We came on air this morning, and a lot of fanfare and a lot of attention, as is always the case when it comes to England. I started out this tournament saying that this England team is like the Dallas Cowboys, and they are in every way, in that just as many people watch to see them lose as watch to see them win, but they are must-see type of television. Now, their opponent in Slovakia, on paper, should not have given them a problem. And that's not to say that it's not a quality team and they can't score goals and they can't give you a game, but this is England that we are talking about. And our pregame discussion focused around, was Gareth Southgate going to make any changes and how were those going to affect the team? But it was always kind of a fait accompli that they were going to find a way to win. And comfortably, I think people would have said, but it did not play out that way in the best possible way, in that we watched some of these games for drama. And there was drama from start to finish in the form of an angst-riddled England team on the field, and I'm sure off the field, the England fans bemoaning minute after minute after minute, and ultimately hour and almost a half of just absolute rubbish when it comes to this English team, followed by 5 minutes of amazing and then some other type of mediocre type of play. Ultimately, England gets the win in the most dramatic fashion that we have seen probably in this tournament. And, notwithstanding the Italians getting out of the group, and everyone is just left on the floor almost exhausted. Now, we came on after the game, and this is where I'd like to get you in here. I asked, is the pint glass half full or half empty? Because it's very easy to look at this game and to talk about the spirit and the tenacity and the belief that coursed through the veins of the English players to enable them to come back from being down 1-0 and almost at the death, find a way with an incredible bicycle from Jude Bellingham to take it to extra time. And ultimately, a couple minutes into the first of the 15 minutes, our friend Harry Kane finishes it off, and then it's done from there. That's the glass half full, and way to go, you get to move on. The glass half empty is, how the hell did England even put themselves into this position? And yet I shouldn't be surprised, because it was more of the same ridiculousness that we have seen through this tournament.
Yeah, I would say glass half full, because ultimately they survived the knockout game at a major tournament. But I do take your point. We keep waiting for a better England to emerge. It didn't happen. I thought it was even damning that after Kane scored in the first minute of extra time, you would have thought at that point they would kick on and dominate the rest of the extra session. Slovakia would be demoralized. And no, they ended up having to hang on for dear life. So you're right. It really was just those couple of minutes, the Bellingham goal and then Kane soon after. And that was that.
Now, I know there are people out there that are saying, why aren't you giving the due to Slovakia? That's what the voice I use for people that are morons. So why aren't you giving the due to Slovakia? Okay. The story was England and continues to be England. Now, Slovakia, wonderful performance. This wasn't a smash and grab. They were good from start to finish. Obviously, they had the two blips, and that's what cost them the game. They are going to go back and rue the fact that they let those two opportunities happen. Certainly, the second one, maybe more so than the first one. The first one, obviously, it's the end of the game. It's a long throw-in, and it's a bicycle. And it's a moment of magic and brilliance that will live long in the hearts and minds of the English and soccer fans and of that tournament. So all I'm saying is, if you like Slovakia, all right, take solace in that this was a wonderful account of these young men, this team, and ultimately of this country. Don't be offended, all right? The fact that most people that were watching today, if I asked them to identify where Slovakia is on a map, they couldn't do that. It's okay. It's okay. On the soccer field, you did your country proud. So congratulations on getting there.
They are a past winner of this competition because Czechoslovakia won in 1976, and technically both Czechia and Slovakia inherited Czechoslovakia's records. So I was hoping Czech and Slovakia would meet in this tournament, so it would be a battle of past champions, both claiming the same title.
Wow, that would have...
It's like one of those college football seasons
Yes.
back in the day when two teams would split the title, like Michigan and Nebraska in 97.
Yeah, it was ridiculous then, and it's ridiculous now for them to be splitting it now. I mean, it should just go off and live as something else. You don't split it. No, absolutely not. Before we leave this game, is there any hope for this England team that, to your point, a different team is going to emerge from the mist of this Brigadoonish type of thing and say, this is who we actually are, and this is the fairy tale and the dream?
I think this could be a turning point for them. I could see them playing better in subsequent rounds. But frankly, given the draw, they don't have to be at their absolute best to get to the final. Next up is Switzerland on Saturday in Dusseldorf, which is a tough game. You and I both like this Swiss team, but it's not facing Germany or Spain. So they did land in the more favorable side of the draw. So maybe they don't have to be at their best, and they'll still keep chugging along.
I mean, we've been here before, right? So fool me once and all that kind of stuff. All right, well, listen, congratulations to the English on going through. Not convincingly, but going through.
Before we move on, though, we talked about how one of the interesting subplots of this summer with these two tournaments is the Ballon d'Or race and seeing what Vinicius was going to do and Mbappe and Jude Bellingham. And Bellingham had a moment today that I think strengthened his candidacy for sure.
Yeah, I guess it was. I mean, it was a great goal. It was a great goal. Well, I mean, it was a moment. So I guess in that he needed, and we want him to, because he is an incredible player, to remind us of why he is getting all the attention, and he certainly did. And it was he took it well, and it was wonderful. And to be sitting next to Daniel Sturridge and to Jules and everybody there, and just to see them go crazy, it was fun. Even though I can certainly be. I can certainly criticize and make fun of the English, and I love to do so. I could even revel in those 5 minutes, but I'm only giving you 5 minutes. That's it. All right, should we go on to the Spain-Georgia game? 4-1.
Yes. Georgia struck first. Another own goal, the 8th of the tournament. Lenormand turning the ball into his own net. You thought, wow, could Spain be in some trouble here? But that was not the case. They dominated the rest of the match. 76% possession. They outshot them 35-4. They win 4-1, 4 different goal scorers. Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, Nico Williams, and Dani Olmo. Spain looking like the class of this tournament right now.
And, continuing to show that they have... I don't know. I probably wouldn't say evolved, but certainly changed in the way that they play and the way that we look at it, and certainly from past and history. And you mentioned the wings of this team and the young wings of this team and how much they trust them and how much they play through them.
Today was the perfect blend of the two styles.
Yep.
They dominated the midfield, had all the possession, but also you saw that directness. Both Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams were great. That Nico Williams goal was absolutely sensational.
Incredible. I mean, first off, just skip by the defender, and then it looks like it's just a completely random shot down, but it's not down the middle, but it's not. So, I mean, they are flying right now, and I think. Earlier today, I did my power rankings, and there was a flipping of Germany and Spain. All right, doesn't mean that I don't think that Germany is going to win the tournament, but there is a flipping of those two.
Well, we will settle that once and for all on Friday in Stuttgart, because that is the matchup. Absolutely mouth-watering clash. Germany and Spain in the quarterfinals, the two most successful nations in the history of the competition, both 3-time winners, and they square off in this upcoming round.
Okay, should we go over to Copa America, Group B? And let's start with our friends Mexico. My goodness, they were in a moment of desperation, backs to the wall, all the different things that you say. They needed a win against Ecuador. They were playing in front of yet another home crowd, thousands and thousands. And while I think this is the best we have seen them play, maybe in a long time, I got the feeling, and I said this on air, that Mexico played at its maximum, at 100%. And even that wasn't enough to beat Ecuador, who I thought was 75%. All right, they knew they needed a point. They did what they needed to do, bend but don't break. And so even in this moment, you saw that Mexico isn't enough. They don't have enough game changers. They don't have a striker. They don't put the fear of God into anyone, either individually or collectively as a team. And they couldn't, in this moment rise to the occasion and summon up some sort of class from the past and success from the past to get the result that they needed.
And again, we don't have to have this conversation every night, but for critics of VAR, thank God we had it tonight, because imagine if Mexico had gone through on a shambolic penalty decision at the end there. Felix Torres clearly got the ball. Guillermo Martinez, it was whistled a penalty. VAR cleaned it up. That would have been scandalous.
Yep.
You agree that was definitely not a penalty, correct?
Which one? Because there were like 4 different ones that could have been penalties.
The one at the very end of the game.
I will agree. Although, if you watch the back lift of the left foot,
wow.
Okay, just watch the back lift of the left foot. It might coincide exactly when the ball is touched, so it was very, very close. I'm okay with it. All right, I am okay with it. I'm big enough to say that I'm okay with it. There were other ones that were interesting. The one that came over as a cross and then hit the arm, I mean, that one blocks the ball from going into a much more dangerous area of the goal. So that was a little interesting.
But I agree with your overall point. Mexico played with a lot of energy tonight, but not enough quality. And the bloom is off the rose for Santi Jimenez. They've tried to talk themselves into him being better than he is. I know he's put up good numbers with Feyenoord, but that is the Eredivisie. And at the international level, he did score the winner against Panama in the Gold Cup final, but overall, I don't think has been all that great.
I mean, when I think about Carlos Emercia or Borghetti or these types of players, or Luis Hernandez, I mean, these are men and a boy. He doesn't scare me at all and I don't know what, from a national team perspective, he actually does well.
And listen, the main issue is the players, but they also wasted a year with Jimmy Lozano by overreacting to winning that Gold Cup, a Gold Cup in which the U.S. sent a B team, and it was not that big a deal to win that tournament, but they really wanted to believe that they had found their manager, and so they gave him the job permanently. And to me, he never felt up to it, and so now they're going to probably have to make another change.
Well, so it's the manager?
Well, I think it's both. I think it's mainly the players. I think any manager that walks in there is going to have issues right now, but they could get a better manager than him. I don't think he's up to the job.
Well, hold on a second. I want to digress here, because you don't think that he is capable of coaching the players that they have, but on the other side, you're telling me that they don't have the players in order to compete. But you think that somebody better would be able to do better with this group of players?
Yeah, there's no scenario right now where Mexico would be great, but they could be a little better.
Who's making Santi Jimenez better, Mosse? You think that there's somebody out there that would, delve into the mind of him and say, well, you're running left instead of running right? Come on. I mean, look,
So to you, it's a zero sum. It either has to be the player's fault or the manager's fault. It can't be both?
I'm not saying that a manager can't help, okay? But I do feel that sometimes when we talk about, these managers that, if you put Pep, or if you put Klopp, or if you put this or that in there, that automatically they would become better because of what they have done. And it is an apples and oranges type of scenario.
But you would agree, if the U.S., after they won that Nations League with B.J. Callahan, had overreacted and been like, well, let's give B.J. Callahan the job, you would have said, wait a minute, is the overall resume here enough to warrant that? That is kind of what happened to Mexico and Jimmy Lozano.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I just...
We both agree. The main issue is they don't have the players right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll agree. We'll agree on that, and we'll save this because this is great content, and we'll do that a little later. Okay, and then the other game, Jamaica already out of the tournament, but they lost 3-0 to Venezuela. Congratulations, by the way, to La Vinotinto. We talked about them parlaying the success that they are having right now in CONMEBOL qualifying for 2026 into not just a great showing here so far, but 3 wins, 9 points, winning the group, and looking very, very good. Their reward is that they get to play against Canada. I can't even believe Canada gets to play against Venezuela.
That's a matchup that both teams look at and think, wow, that's a game we could win.
Yeah.
But I do expect Venezuela to win that game. I love the way they're playing.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.